You're watching CN2 News. Two Chester County principals wanted to make a difference during the pandemic. They started Create and Educate LLC to help educators and parents during some tough times. They're focusing on literacy and leadership. CN2's R.E.A.L.L. Jackson has more on how they're helping the community.
Create and Educate, we are a consulting firm that works with educators as well as entrepreneurs. So with the side where we're working with educators, we offer professional development on literacy as well as implicit bias. We work with leaders and leadership teams to help improve schools.
They've been surviving pandemic education by offering tips for school leaders, teachers, and parents.
We really want to see kids through the trajectory, graduating from high school, ready to go to college or to start a career or to go into the military.
Create and Educate has multiple community partners in the area that read books to children weekly, discuss literature, and express their support for the education system. Recently, the owners were featured for Amazon's #1 best-selling book entitled Women Who Lead in Education.
And so we are super, super excited because we're amongst a family of women leaders who are absolutely extraordinary. So it's an honor to have been asked to participate. And then even more of an honor now that the book has gone on sale and it became a #1 bestseller. You don't have to be a school leader to have leadership qualities.
Collectively, both Tammy Taylor, principal of Great Falls Elementary, and Dr. Sheikah Houston, principal of Chester Middle School, have 40 years of service in education. They have learned the need in their community, and they plan to
serve all children in all communities. And one of the things that we enlighten people about in our professional development with literacy is that sometimes it's hard for children to connect to text because they don't see themselves in text. Providing that culturally relevant literature for students, and that's not just African American students, that's all students. Every student at every school should be able to see themselves in a book, in a text, to be able to connect with it.
Surviving pandemic education together in Chester, R.E.A.L.L. Jackson, CN2 News.
Again, their goal is to help connect educators, parents, community members, and authors each week to help better navigate the pandemic. To learn more about Create and Educate LLC, simply follow them on Facebook or at their website at createandeducate.com.
Create and Educate held their first personal event after a year of completely virtual events. The organization started during the pandemic, and their goal was to create a way to educate students, teachers, and families virtually. During their Lunch and Learn event, teachers, university experts, leaders, and educators speaking about ways to prepare students since the pandemic.
It has been very difficult. Some teachers have decided to leave the profession as well as leaders. So we know that education is something that all of our children need. We want to be able to build resilience in our leaders and our teachers so that our education system will be resilient as well.
We needed to provide the space for some dialogue on how we move forward from here and how we can shift where we are in education so that as we move forward, we're moving forward and we are not just trying to do school as usual, but truly looking for some new and innovative ideas for what's going to take us to that next level.
Create and Educate also celebrating its 1-year anniversary.
Have to keep remembering to not be muted. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the collaborative.
Hi, everybody. We got to get used to this new navigation.
Yes, this is might just take us over the edge. But thank you all for joining us. And again, welcome I am Dr. Sheikah Houston, and my trustmate in education, Dr. Tammy Taylor, and I thank you all for joining us on the collaborative, where we bring educators, parents, and community members together, as well as authors. Please like and share us on your feed so that you're not keeping us all to yourselves, but helping to spread and share this great information. We are so happy to have our guests with us today, and we are your problem-solving educators, but we can't solve problems alone, so that's why we're glad that you all are here. And let us know in the comments if you are a parent or teacher or educator, author. Let us know that you're in, and check in with us so we'll know who's here. Hi, that's my Aunt Diane. Thank you for joining us. And we will go ahead and get started, because again, we are truly better together. So today we have Miss Melissa Jones-Chunu with us. She is going to be telling us how she's going to be keeping it real at her school, Celia Clinton Elementary School. And since we are an educational show, we always start with on this day in history. So let me pull up my on this day in history information. And first, we can't go any farther without saying happy National Authors Day to all of our authors. We work with so many phenomenal authors that we are just really happy to be able to celebrate you all today on National Authors Day. But on this day in history, in 1946, Dr. Charles S. Johnson became the first Black president of Fisk University. And in 1951, Jet Magazine was founded. And in, I think it's I don't have the date here, but the first Ebony magazine was also published by John H. Johnson, and it was in 1945. So we always like to bring you those facts. And we're going to go ahead and bring up Melissa with us. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here today on this beautiful, beautiful fall. First day of November.
Thank you. It is a beautiful day today. And I'm going to go ahead and read your bio so that everyone knows exactly your background information. So Mrs. Jones-Chunu was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and attended Tulsa Public Schools after receiving a Bachelor of Music Education degree from Oral Roberts University in 2001. She began her teaching career at Alcott and Greeley elementary schools, working with Title I students who resided in underserved areas. In 2005, she earned a master's degree in educational leadership from Southern Nazarene University. She married Oriva on March 18, 2006. Shortly after their union, Jason and Hannah were born into their family. In 2011, Mrs. Chunu accepted the vocal music instructor position at Booker T. Washington High School, her alma mater. And while at Booker T. Washington, Mrs. Chunu served as the Fine Arts Department Chair, Women Empowered Sponsor, Class of 2018 Sponsor, and was nominated as Teacher of the Year. She enjoyed serving as Assistant Principal of Sequoia Elementary School for 2 years and MacArthur Elementary for 2 years. Currently, she is pursuing her Doctor of Education degree in Administration and Leadership from Oral Roberts University, and is an active member of OUR's Educational Task Force. Throughout her many years in education, she continues to mentor and nurture students by encouraging them to overcome obstacles. Mrs. Chunu is very excited to partner with students, colleagues, and families to help every child at Celia Clinton Elementary School achieve their personal goals. So again, welcome, 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 Ms. Chunu. We are so excited to have you join us today.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
So excited to be here. You all are
queens.
You have inspired so many of us. We might not say it out loud, but you all have definitely inspired many young Black queens to continue to rise up and do their very best. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Feels like a family reunion. We're just so glad to have you. Yes. And we thank you for that kind shout out. And so just to everybody who's joining us or who's going to eventually listen to this is going to be it's a little bit awkward tonight because Sheikah and I have some really weird feedback in StreamYard that we've got to get worked out. So we are going to mute because we don't want to take away from the gems that we know Melissa's going to be dropping for you guys. So if this looks like a one-sided conversation and y'all are saying, what in the world is Tammy doing over there with her mic muted through the whole conversation, it's just because we want to not destroy this wonderful experience that we know will be a blessing to so many of you guys. So again, Melissa, thank you all. And I will just be cheering in the silence back here, but I'm listening and learning. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
So everyone that joins us on the collaborative, we always start with a little would you rather. This says teacher edition, but it should say assistant principal edition. Because, and I'm going to go ahead and do all three questions just because we're having to do this muting back and forth. So the first question is, are you a key jingling assistant principal like we see on our famous TikTok videos of our principal and assistant principal observers, the gentleman who makes fun of administrators busting into classes and making all of the noise? And are you a click clacker, dress shoe, assistant principal, or are you more of a nice leather tennis shoes assistant principal? And do you sit down to lunch or do you have lunch on the go? And if you can't remember all of those, I'll repeat them. Just answer what you can while I go on mute.
Okay. So am I a jingler, a key jingler? No, ma'am. I can't stand the jingle of keys. I've been trying to figure out, I wear a fanny pack, and so I've been trying to figure out a way to put my keys in this little slips, whatever, in the fanny pack. And I figured it out, yay. And so I have my card on there. So no, I don't do jingly keys. As far as shoes, when I first started teaching back in 2001, it was, man, I was going to dress up and wear my click clackety shoes every day because my principal told me after the second day of being on the job that I was no longer to wear tennis shoes. He said, you can't do that in my building. So I said, okay. So I always just kind of wear those click clackety shoes. But the older that I get, you know, I don't think it's anything wrong with wearing a nice pair of leather shoes to school, especially when you're working on hard surfaces. So yeah, I say I'm somewhere in between. Yeah. And what was the last one?
Sit down to lunch or lunch on the go?
Oh, what's lunch? Girl, I have a nice juicy steak for dinner. I treat myself at night. I don't even know what lunch is. I snack on the go, so we don't have time.
Yeah, when I was in the building, I rarely got a chance to eat lunch properly. But I was in the cafeteria, but
right.
usually not eating. And it's always amazing for us as women, like how we have to try to figure out, you know, how to carry our stuff around, the radio, the phone, the keys. So I found one of these little long crossbody little things that I carry with. I put my phone in it. It has a hook for my keys.
Okay.
So that's how I keep up with my little stuff.
It works. The 80s are back. Don't play.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I used to try to wear my nice shoes, but in those long hallways, the heels that got old. And I found me my veteran teachers were the ones who told me about the good shoes from, oh my gosh, what's the name of that company? They were $280, but they're the ugliest shoes you ever wanted to see in your life, but they worked. And I wore them. I was pregnant while I was assistant principal, and that's what stopped my back from hurting from walking around on the hard floors. But I forgot the name of those shoes, but they were the ones who told me about those shoes, and they looked awful, but
but they worked, right?
They worked.
Do the trick. Mm-hmm.
It wasn't I'm gonna think of it. I still have them, but I wore them through my whole pregnancy, and it was in the winter, but they were sandals, so my toes was out during the winter for the whole summer, but my back was not hurting, nor my feet.
That's winning. Mm-hmm.
For $280, I wasn't going back to get a winter pair.
Keep that. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for indulging us. Mm-hmm. So just tell us a little bit about we've heard your bio, but tell us, what made you go into education, your why, and then we'll start getting into how you're keeping it real this year.
Okay, so I really have been teaching my entire life. I was raised up in the church. My dad is a pastor. He's Kojic pastor. He pastored in Pawnee, Oklahoma, which is a small town here in Oklahoma. And so, in small churches, PK kids, we have to do it all, right? So we have to be the usher. We have to teach Sunday school. We have to take the offering. We're the secretary. I mean, honey, the church trained me well to do what I'm doing today. You hear me? I had to teach Sunday school classes. So when I was like 12 or 13 years old, I was teaching a class of 5-year-olds, easily 15 or 20 kids when I was younger. And so when I went into college, I just always knew that I had a passion for teaching, and I love teaching. In fact, my mother, she was the state minister of music for Oklahoma Northwest jurisdiction. So she taught music. So we always did music, always did music. We would sing before my daddy preached. And so she passed away in 2005, but she always instilled in us that we were always going to get some type of an education and that we were going to go out and impact the world. And so when I got to college, I definitely went into education. I didn't think I would do music education, but I did. That was something that was in my spirit, and I'm so glad I did that. It was a hard program. It was actually a 5-year program. And, but I did it in 4, got out of there, and I was like, I got things to do. So no time for lollygagging. I was doing those 21 hours one semester, and I'll never do that again. But I knew that I had the purpose to reach people, as well as to teach what I know. And I'm a little different in my administrative style. So I'm more outgoing than what people would even think that I would be. And I don't do things necessarily the traditional way of doing things, because I look at each student. Everybody has their own needs. Every student has their own needs, and you cannot put every student in the same box. You cannot. And so I don't do that. And so I feel like that's part of my purpose. Working in elementary school, I started off at Alcott Elementary teaching music. And that after my first year, Booker T. Washington High School, my alma mater, called me and asked me to come and be the music teacher there. And something in my spirit said, don't do it. And I'm so glad that I listened, because 10 years later, I got the same offer. But I had the relationships that I've had built with students all over those 10 years. So when I got to Booker T, those students were there and they were like, oh, no, that's Miss Jones, because they refused to call me Miss Chunu. Even though I had gotten married, they're very possessive, and they're like, no, we're not calling you Miss Chunu. Your name is Miss Jones. I was like, okay. So I got there and they was like, nah, Jones don't play, Chunu don't play. So it was really good. It was great. And so now I'm actually at a school at Celia Clinton, and I'm teaching the children of my former students. And so it's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And people are like, well, you're an assistant principal right now. You've been an assistant principal for 5 years. And
you need to go ahead and be a principal. I mean, I will get there one day. I promise I will get there. But it's not about titles for me. It's about purpose. And it's about being at the right place in the right time. That's what it's always been about for me, always. So I have to not, yes, I know I will get there. I get there. I have my superintendent's license. So I know that. I understand that. But it's better to be in the right place at the right time so that you can make that impact on students, on parents, on teachers, on stakeholders that you're supposed to make in this life.
Well, I'm glad you stated that, Melissa. The first thing we can definitely relate to is we weren't pastors' children, but we are definitely church girls. So growing up in the church is something that both of us can relate to. And some people don't know this, but Tammy is a first lady at a church.
Yay!
So,
awesome. I can see it. I can see it.
But I'm glad you mentioned the fact that people are, it's kind of like they do women in general. When you are at a certain age, they're asking you, when are you getting married? And then when you get married, it's when you're going to have a baby.
Exactly.
So as an assistant principal, there's this hidden rule about, after 5 years, when you're going to be a principal. There are no rules to that. And like you said, when you know that it's time, that you will walk into that position, or you'll step into that, or you will know that for yourself. I was an assistant principal for 8 years before I started to even pursue a principalship, just because at the time I was expecting my daughters, and I knew I didn't want that responsibility at that time. I wanted to focus on them, and then get into the pressure, because there's pressure that comes with being a principal, taking on something new. I wanted to concentrate on that before I got into something new. So we are so honored to have you, and we know that you have great passion. You log on with us all the time. You're on with Principal Kafele and Principal Hurt. So we know that you are, definitely trying to soak up all of the information that you can to inform your practice. So we see you, and we know you're doing great things, and we see your passion. So our R.E.A.L. framework is something that we developed for ourselves when we were in state sanctioned school improvement, to help our schools improve 2 and 3 report card grade levels in 1 year. And the first part of our framework in the acronym R.E.A.L. is respect. So what are some strategies that you are utilizing at your elementary school that helps to cultivate that culture of respect?
So what we have created at our school, we have created what is called a faculty charter, which is where we had our faculty come together during several faculty meetings, and in each staff member have the opportunity to put down what type of environment that they would actually like to work in. So like we asked them, like, what does respect mean to you? Like, what would it mean for you to see respect exemplified in your building? And so we did that, and we went back several times, and we edited the charter, and then we came up with our actual faculty charter, which we try to abide by those things every day. We're not perfect, but at least it's a guide, or it's a framework for us to know how we're really supposed to treat each other. Because, when you're in a building, people have different values. People come, it's just different. And when you're trying to bind together 30 and 40 people, 50 people who believe different things, it's quite a work. And the fun thing about it is we, the administrators at our school, myself, as well as our principal, Candace Garza, we're both new to our building. So we're brand new, right, to the building. So that's a whole nother issue. But just really getting teacher buy-in to whatever we're doing, let them know that we hear their voices. We're in their classrooms all the time. So we do a lot of walkthroughs. I'm talking every day. We're in somebody's classroom, or either all classrooms. I have an office,
But outside community members, they come in and use my office because I'm never in my office. I am never I'm always either in the front office, like greeting parents when they come in, or greeting stakeholders when they come in, or just seeing what's going on in the office, because you find out a lot of information when you're in, the office, at least passing by. But I'm in classrooms. We're looking to see what trends we see in student teaching, in student behavior. And then those walkthroughs really inform our professional development sessions that we have with our teachers. We cannot know if we're not in the classrooms. We're not in the hallways. We will never know. You can have hearsay. You can take what people might be saying, but if you don't see it for yourself, you won't really know. And so when we're in the classrooms, we're looking for instructional skills, and we're looking for ways that we can improve teacher instruction and student learning. Also, we've had each class create their own charter for their own class. So again, the teachers have taken what we've done in staff meeting, and they create their own class charter based on what the students have to say. So then you get students buy-in to their own educational experience. Student voice is so important. It is really important. And oftentimes it is very much neglected because we think they're kids and we think they don't know anything. But I often tell, my staff, I'm like, y'all, we're really facilitators of learning. These kids can find out whatever they want to find out on YouTube. It's our job to teach them. It's our job to reach them. That's what it is, to reach them and to impact them in a positive way and guide them to how they can become successful citizens post high school, even today, but more so post high school. So just really giving teachers and giving student voice in our process of building respect really gives us a culture, a non-toxic culture in our building.
I love all of that. The fact that you all have taken the time to garner that respect and buy-in from your staff, making sure you're visible. All of those are just great things that really helps cultivate a great culture. And then making sure your students, those classroom charters, I think are very powerful. So all of that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. And then really ensuring that not only that the charters are just up in the classrooms, but making sure that teachers refer back to the charters when they're trying to redirect students, because we don't want stuff to just be there just to take up space. I mean, we want it to be utilized, right? So
right. Yeah. Awesome. So in what ways are you setting high expectations for students and staff? And in our acronym, this is how we set the bar for excellence.
Yeah, really communicating to our staff members data from our panorama surveys. If we see on our panorama surveys that students are not feeling safe, okay, well, then we need to do something. We have to change. We have to accept responsibility for what's going on in our schools. I mean, it's not all just the students, we have to just really present data, because data, it can be skewed a little bit, but for the most part, that data is not going to lie, right? So we're looking at map data, we're looking at NWEA map data, and presenting, okay, well, now look at your student. This one scored at 190. This one scored at 150. Okay, and the other ones might score at 140. Really looking at the data and helping our teachers create small groups that they can work with during our walk to read time really sets that level of expectation. Like, okay, so you might be low in reading, but it doesn't mean you can't get better. And we're going to work with you in small groups to ensure that you get better. So we don't really take excuses. Yes, we deal with a lot of students who deal with trauma. But trauma is nothing new. Trauma has been going on for hundreds of years. The only thing different to me is that back in the day, there was parental support. And now we don't really have a whole lot of parental support right now. That's the difference now. So, right. I mean, I can see the difference from 2001 to 2022. It's just different. You have kids who are getting high with their grandparents. That's a problem for me. That's a huge problem. So really just expressing the high expectations that we have for students
and really letting them know that they are special. And then, and being a church person, I was always told that going to church, these kids are not being told that. They are not told that they are special or that somebody loves them or that somebody cares for them. What they're doing is they're being told to be drug dealers, because we had that going on at one of our schools. We had a girl that was running a drug ring, and she had kids in fifth grade, sixth grade, and she had kids. This was at a different school. Had kids putting money at the top of their lockers, and she was going around replacing them with Reggie weed. Had it going on. I took that girl to the side. I said, girl, I love your work ethic. I love it. I love it. I love it. But we're going to have to change your product. You got to change your product. I'm about to start selling Avon, and you're going to be on my team. You got it going on, right? Yes. And so just really encouraging them. And so we had to suspend her because that was the policy. Because however, she later came back the next year and went to middle school, told me that she was a straight A student. She was on the debate team, and she just needed somebody to care for her.
Wow.
She just needed that, and let her know that we still have high expectations. It doesn't matter if you fall down, you still got to get back up. You still got to get back up.
I love how you, even in that, found something positive to say to her, because that becomes really sticky and hard with people. So that's definitely a great demonstration. And my daughter, she was over here a minute ago. I'm having to multitask as a mom. She got logged off of her meeting for her tutoring, so I had to log her back in, but I was still listening. But yes, those are definitely great ways that you all are setting high expectations. And you mentioned some of your information about data with NWEA. How are you all inspecting what you inspect with accountability, which is the next part of our acronym? The A in R.E.A.L. is accountability.
So each Tuesday we have what are called content cycles during the day. So all of our teachers, like we have second and third grade team together, fourth and fifth grade team together, they meet together for 90 minutes. 90 minutes, and they're going over the standards that they have for each grade level. And so there's vertical and horizontal alignment taking place in those meetings. So, third grade can't say that, well, second grade didn't teach this, because they're looking at lessons. They're dissecting lesson plans. They're creating interventions for students who are having gaps in learning. And we know that there's a lot of gaps today in learning, a lot of barriers to learning, including language barriers, right? Kids that don't even know their last name or even their first name in the fifth grade. We know that is present, is sad, but it's the reality of the situation that we're in. So now we have to figure out ways to make sure that every child is different. We have to figure out what is the best course of action for each student. So we use that NWEA map data. If that child is scoring 120, that's not right. That just shouldn't be, not in fifth grade, not in no grade. But we know that child is low, so we know we're going to give that child extra attention. We're also, if they need extra tutoring, we're going to give them extra tutoring. If that's after school tutoring, we're going to talk with parents and include them in on a conversation and say, okay, we're going to refer you to this tutoring program, because your child needs extra help. Or we can refer them to an online program that the child can do extra work at home with. So just finding ways, everybody's different. Like I said, each child is different. Every teacher has a different way of teaching. So you have the old school mixed with the new school, right? And so in those content cycles, we talk about different strategies that teachers can use in the curriculum. This year, we got a new reading curriculum, HMH. And so, in that curriculum, it talks about different Kagan strategies that can be used in the classroom, such as think, pair, shares, such as turn and talks. But a lot of our new teachers wouldn't know that because they're newly, they're new in the classroom. They wouldn't know that. But when you're in content cycles and you have those veteran teachers in there talking and telling them, okay, look, this is a think, pair, share. So this is how it works, and then they model it. They model
Mhm.
it for each other. They practice
Right.
with each other. That really holds them accountable. So it's like we're expecting you to uphold that spirit of excellence in this building. Just because you're tired doesn't mean you cannot teach. You need to teach
Mhm.
every day that you come into the building. If there's something you can learn, I don't care if it was Halloween. There is something. There is something that you can learn or teach that day, and that's the expectation at our building.
That's awesome, and that collaboration is definitely something that's very important. That sometimes people don't realize how beneficial that is. So the next acronym, and Tammy is putting some the comments because she's not able to come off of mute. But
Yes, the Skittles. We definitely use that. Skittles do wonders. They make make life happy, but we definitely use those as manipulatives. Absolutely, absolutely.
and so the first L in the R.E.A.L. acronym is for literacy. And I heard you talk a little earlier about your, I think you call them reading walks. But how are you all ensuring that students are reading at high levels, and then also that they are, you know, having that numeracy where they're also with literacy and numeracy?
Yeah, so it's the walk to read time, and we actually are still in the beginning phases of implementing that in our building. This walk to read, and usually it's from about 8 o'clock to 8:50. And
Mhm.
so during the walk to read time, teachers they do have small groups to work with based off of the NWEA MAP scores or MAP fluency exams that the students took at the beginning of the year. And so they definitely are grouping students in those small groups and working with them one-on-one on their foundational skills, right? Basic foundational skills, those phonics, that even comprehension, just based off of what those MAP scores are. And then based off of how many students they have, they create other small groups where students can be working on literacy or math or whatever skills that students need to improve on based off of the data. The data will talk. And I know there's sometimes, like I said, sometimes kids might not be feeling good and the data might not reflect everything that they can do, but it's a pretty accurate reflection of what each child can do and what a child is able to do. And the good thing I like about MAP is it tells you what the student is ready to learn. So even though they might not, have the skills right now, you can still be working on other skills. So like at a small group, they can be working on vocabulary, they can have a vocabulary table working on comprehension. They can be working on spelling. It's just a lot of different things that can be done, which that is somewhat a challenge with our teachers, because it's a new program, it's something new that's in, but that's a good thing about our curriculum. They actually provide literacy table ideals. So they provide ideals. That's why I tell people you don't have to veer too far from your curriculum if it's a good curriculum. You can use the tools that you have as a teacher, but most of the time, if it's a good curriculum, it's going to tell you what you need to do in order to ensure that students are going to be successful.
Right. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're actually in our state getting ready to adopt a new curriculum for language arts. So we have some teachers who will be going to be a part of those committees. So if HMH is one that you're saying that is good, that'll definitely be one that we'll tell them to look out for.
It's really good. It's good. With last year or the last 4 years, 5 years, we've had CKLA. And to me, I mean, it was okay, but it seemed like it was not as kid friendly as this curriculum is. Like I'm talking, we were walking in first grade and they were talking about the War of 1812. And I was like, no, 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 not first grade. And it was just like, it wasn't exciting. And I think
Right.
that's part of it. Like we have to make this curriculum exciting for our kids if we really want them to buy into it. And so
Exactly.
HMH it's better than CK. It's not perfect, but
Gotcha.
it's better than CKLA. I'll say
Right.
that.
And you'll still have to supplement
Absolutely.
anything to make it customized to the children who are sitting in front of you. That is so essential.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where those content cycles come in.
Mm-hmm.
That tool belt. You can share that
Definitely.
information with the younger teachers. Mhm.
Awesome.
So the last L in the R.E.A.L. acronym is leadership. So speak to us about you all's vision and systems and how you keep things maintained at your school.
So me and Candace, we're real tight. I love Candace. She's so sweet. This is her first year being a principal. And she's off the chain. She has great ideals. Like I said, my office is basically set up in her office. And so we're really close. As her AP, she knows that I have her back. There is no way that she will ever hear me down talking her, even if I don't agree with her, which is very seldomly that I don't agree with her. But if I did, I could always feel confident that I would go to her and we could work out whatever we needed to work out. So that was already established at the very beginning. We started this journey back in June. Well, the last part of May, beginning of June. And so she's, we just really communicate. Communication is so important in leadership. You have to communicate. So she knows she can text me at 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever. And, or I'll tell her, it's time to go home. It's 4 o'clock. We need to go. We got to go. She's like, no, it's time to go, because you're not spending your whole day here. You have 5 kids at home. So you got to go. So just, learning to talk with each other and knowing like our staff, they definitely see a united front with us. She can bounce ideas off me at any time. I bounce ideas off her. She listens to me. Like she's never downed me or anything, tried to make me feel like I was less of a person because I was assistant principal. She just has always encouraged me and always lifted me up. So I've had a really good experience with Candace. And so we meet like every morning, but then we also meet throughout the day. So it's not just like one time. Look, we're constantly talking throughout the day about things that are going on. And she started, she has her little cart. So she carries it or she pushes it throughout the hallway. Like she's doing that. And I have a cart. I just haven't gotten her yet. I have my fanny pack and that's what I'm sticking with. I have my phone. And so, but everybody's different, right? So I don't have to do the same thing she did. I will get there one day, but I'm not there. And so, we talk. Communication is so important with leadership. And like I said before, being visible, letting the staff know that you're available for them, that you have their back, and that's another thing about leadership. Like I'm all for the kids. I promise I'm all for the kids because I keep the main thing. But I also realize that staff, they have issues too, right? Yes. So our kids are dealing with trauma, but our staff is dealing with trauma too. And so we have to make sure that we're addressing those needs. So like yesterday, we were supposed to have a staff meeting. And instead of that, we're like, well, some people might have a Halloween, event they have to go to, or they might have to dress kids up. So we canceled staff meeting yesterday, to help them meet their own needs, right? That's what we do. So, that's just what we do as leaders. We make sure that our kids are okay. We make sure that our teachers are okay. We communicate with our stakeholders. So yesterday we had a parade of students, and the Rotary Club is our partner in education. And so they came up, brought a whole bunch of candy and just interacting with them. Just sometimes it's a simple hello, how you doing? They just want you to say hi and acknowledge what they're doing. And so just really being intentional about interacting with stakeholders. We had a meeting with Pentecostal Temple Church of God in Christ, who is also one of our adoptive churches. They came up making time to meet with them, with our administrative team, and really let them share their vision about how they want to help us. You want to help us? Let's come on. Let's get her done, right? Let's do it for the kids. So, that's part of leadership. And just being able to listen. I do a lot of listening. I had a parent come up yesterday and he was just mad. And I do mean mad to where everybody was just scared, right? Just because he was, bigger. And then I said, come on in here. Let's just sit down. And he looked and he talked. And he vented, and I looked and act like I was taking notes. I did. I was taking notes. But, sometimes parents just want you to listen to them. Then by the time he got done talking, he started apologizing. He was like, Miss Chunu, I'm so sorry for the way I came in at your school. I just don't want the same thing to happen to my son. I don't want the same thing that happened to me happen to my son. So, you just listen. That's part of leadership, because I know a lot of people would have went back on him and like, you can't can't be here, blah, 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 blah. And I was like,
Right.
no. By the time we got done, I was asking him how he wanted to volunteer at the school. Like,
Wow.
when are you going to come and mentor the young men since you have a story to tell? What you going to do to get back to this school? So, just learning how to deal with people, because people are different.
They are.
Different.
And that's awesome. Knowing how to be able to de-escalate situations. That's a talent, because everyone does not have that. And in the South, here in our area, we'll say, like he came in hot as fish grease. I have had those experiences before, so I definitely understand. And what you mentioned about you and your principal's relationship, is this her?
That's her.
Oh,
Yay.
thank you for logging on. You definitely have a gem, which she already knows. But having that relationship is so important, because if your dynamic is off in your leadership team, that can throw everything off in your building. So you all having that close knit relationship, that trust, that effective, constant communication, all of those things are amazing and will definitely help you all take your school to another level with your leadership. So that is wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything that you have shared. You have shared so many amazing things that people who are tuning in, that they can definitely garner something from this conversation, and things that you all are doing at your elementary school. So we appreciate you being willing to come on with us and share. And let me see. Oh, yes, Tammy saying thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And we definitely, want to encourage you in your journey, and anything that we can do to be able to help or support you. Just let us know, because we like to pay it forward, because we know what it's like to be in a seat and need help and not have it directly where you're coming from in your district, and you have to seek it from outside. So that was one of the reasons why we do what we do on Saturdays, why we do what we do here with the collaborative. We want to elevate people's voices and bring that awareness, and people understanding what the seat requires in education. A lot of people miss that. Just restoring that respect, like you said, a lot of that is lost for some reason in education now. So we want people to understand what educators are having to go through, what's required of the positions, because it's a lot nowadays that sometimes is missed. And we want there to be that mutual respect. We really can get a whole lot farther with our children if we're united, joining forces, understanding and hearing one another, just like you talked about with that parent you were speaking of. When we hear one another and we can learn from one another, we can take our children a lot farther.
Absolutely.
So thank you again. If you can hang on, and that will be great. But if not, we understand. We have come to the portion where we're going to bring up story time, and we implemented story time as a part of this platform, because during the pandemic, we wanted parents, if they didn't have time to read, we knew there was a lot going on with people working from home, but we wanted to provide that. So we have some partners that we work with that I'm going to bring up the slide to show that we use for our story time. This was my previous assistant principal when I was in the building. He has his own show where he does Lit Weekend. So sometimes we'll show some of his videos. We have story time with Mr. Lamata, and both of their segments are on Facebook. So even as teachers in the classroom, you all can make their story times a part of your classroom, or parents at home. You can make this a part of your story time for your children. And then who we're going to hear from tonight is story time with Miss McGriff. She's a teacher here in our state who is so passionate, and she started her platform, I think also during the pandemic, to make sure her children were still getting story time at home. And then Read with Carrie Lee show is a wonderful author show as well that we used her last time, but we use her segments. But she has great authors on, and will give you some information about some authors that you can incorporate their stories in your schools. But the benefits of story time for our parents that are tuning in, they help your child to get to know sounds and words and language. They help them develop those early literacy skills. They learn to value books and stories. It sparks their imagination and stimulates their curiosity, and it helps also with brain ability to focus, concentration, social skills, and communication skills. And for older children, sometimes we think it's just for smaller children, but even adults enjoy great storytime books. It's a great way to connect, teach lessons, and then build relationships. And we always use the quote from Frank Serafini: there aren't children who hate to read, there are only children who have not found the right book. So we definitely want to make sure we're exposing our children to as many books as possible. I'm going to share, while we're listening to Storytime, some links in the chat that will connect you to more resources from the authors that we work with. But let me go ahead and share my screen. And like I said, we're going to be hearing from Storytime with Miss McGriff. And this story that she is going to read, actually, because we're in the month of November, is a Thanksgiving story. So let me bring this up so that you all can see it.
Go ahead and wrap it up with this funny story, and you guys can help me tell the story because it's going to repeat itself. So if you're being a really good listener, you will be able to help me read this story to you. Are you guys ready for that? All right, if you're ready for that, let me get a yeehaw. All right, you guys are ready. So, and with that, the feast begins. After the pie, the old lady swallows a whole squash, all of the salad, and the entire turkey. Her future looks murky after that turkey, but she doesn't stop there. In the end, the old lady makes a surprising and humorous contribution to the holidays festivities. Let's go ahead and dig into I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Pie. I know an old lady who swallowed a pie, a Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed some cider. Hi, Lon and Ava. That rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a roll. Just swallowed it whole, the entire roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie. The Thanksgiving pie was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. Guess what, guys? There's some rhyming words in here. And I know that my Kinder Heroes, we've been working on rhyming words. So let's see if you can hear some of these rhyming words, like dry and pie. I know an old lady who swallowed a squash. Oh my gosh, a fat yellow squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too what? Dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a salad. She was looking quite pallid from eating that salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too what? Dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a turkey. Did you swallow a turkey over Thanksgiving? I hope not. Her future looked murky after that turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I have a question. Do you think this is a nonfiction book or a fiction book? Did you say fiction? Kiss your brain 2 times, you smarty pants. It's definitely a fiction book because the author definitely wrote it to make us laugh. I know an old lady who swallowed a pot. Pot? Definitely fiction. I kid you not, she swallowed a pot. She swallowed the pot to go with the turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. Uh-oh. I know an old lady who swallowed a cake. Look at that cake. Oh my goodness, does her belly even have any room for anything else? For goodness sake, a 10-layered cake. She swallowed the cake to go with the pot. She swallowed the pot to go with the turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Ay, ay, ay. Perhaps she'll die. Look at her belly. I know an old lady who swallowed some bread. I'm full, she said. Happy Thanksgiving. And that is the end of the story. How did you guys enjoy that book? So it's not like the normal, I know old lady stories, because this one's written by a different author, but they're very similar. So did you guys enjoy the story tonight? I hope you did. I'm so glad that each of you are spending your night with me tonight for Storytime with Miss McGriff. I hope that you guys have a marvelous, marvelous week, and I hope that you do something that makes yourself smile and makes someone else smile. If nobody else has told you today, Miss McGriff loves you so, so, so much, and I will see you guys next week. at the same time. And next week, we'll start to read some Christmas stories. And I have a really, really cool book that I can't wait to share with you guys. It's about a unicorn and a reindeer. So that might be our story next. Thank you for tuning in.
Are you all still hearing it?
Good night.
I'm trying.
It's off now.
Tammy, can you go ahead and close out? I'm on Bella's class now.
Absolutely, guys. We want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight, everybody, and supporting Melissa. Melissa, thank you for being with us and bringing the fire that comes with Principal Shaw Hurt and Principal Kafele, who are a part of our PLN network, that we want to encourage you guys to join us on Saturday mornings to watch. Principal Hurt is on at 10. Shika and I are on at 10:30, and then Principal Kafele follows us at 10:55, and then on Sunday nights we can steer you to Josh Tovar and Chris and Dean for Unlock the Middle. And I think she could say that Dr. Roz is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So make sure you join Dr. Roz Gaskins as well. So again, we want to just say thank you and be respectful of your time. So we hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Thanks, guys, and have a good night.
Thank you. And I saw where your principal mentioned about you all possibly reading, and use the resources. Don't put more work on yourself, and people are already out here doing this free work. She is on every Tuesday, and all of the videos that she has already recorded can be shared, with your families for story time. So that's the whole purpose of us sharing those resources. Those are several that you can use in school newsletters to let parents know that, or you can show them live just like we did through, we're using StreamYard, but whatever platform you all use, you can log on with parents, but don't put extra work on yourself. And there's people out here doing these things for you that you can use their resources. That's why we try to promote them. So free resources for educators and parents. So that's why we share them. But thank you all for joining us, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Melissa. You all have a great rest of your week.